Awesome. This game's... I want this game... I want to be a mistborn Allomancer and feel powerful. And this game is not conveying that in any shape, way, or form. Okay, so that jump felt good. Let me get rid of the... so player, calc player. I think I have like a fall speed somewhere. There's a max speed. Dead. Enemy death, player death. If you want to feel more powerful, then, in the words of the meme, throw another MF at another MF. Allow, it's fine. People can cuss. It's cool. It's cool. We're all adults here. Yeah, the throwing is not terrible. See, okay, so I got to fix the throw because the throw then, puts it out of reach, but like let's say the shoe is like right there and I want to get to that exit and it's like, "Oh, I'm running, bam." And I want there you have it, right? It's like which is nice. All right, so I increased the fall speed. Yeah. So don't die when I drop, which is fine. We'll fix that later. Yeah, so that feels good, I think. But yeah, let's turn it up to 11. So originally I had this at 240. Let's see what that feels like again. Right, so that's... Does the player need to be... yeah, I just disabled it for now. Technically in the book, the Allomancers, if they're not pushing off like a metal object, I mean they're humans, right? So if you're like pushing and you're pushing against the shoe like I am right now, and then you don't have something like directly underneath you and you fall, you're basically falling to your death at that point. So, yeah, there's the facet of falling or risk of falling. Okay, let's go with those values. So what about? Okay, that felt pretty good. That also felt good. All right, so here's the player. The enemy's there. Not great. The throw trajectory feels weird. Like it just that kind of sucks. Yeah, maybe the throw needs to be just like a quick release. All right, so let's change that. So right now I have throw set to R1. Throw pickup input. That's the grabbing. Okay, so is holding coin needs to be false. That's good. That makes sense. And then the DX, so we'll just shoot it straight out instead of up the way I'm doing it right now. So if I set the Y to just 1, wait, yeah, right? Holding the coin, they can throw speed X. Okay, so throw speed X, we'll set that to 2. Again, I apologize, I haven't looked at this code in what feels like forever. Throw speed Y, we'll set that to 0.5. Okay, that. So yeah, definitely. Too close to the ground. Let's set both of them to 2. That doesn't feel good. Let's try 1. A little bit better. $1.5. Yeah. I think so. I think the intensity feels good. Yeah, I still need to fix pull. Yep, so throw. Yeah, so that went too far. It's almost like I wanted to immediately start pushing. So let's see. I have push input. And so, okay, so instead of throw input, I'll set this to push input. So the moment you, if push is enabled and you're holding it, you'll immediately throw. Let's see if that makes the release feel a little bit better. Don't lose the shoe. Else if throw pickup input. Right, so you gotta pick it up. Why aren't you picking up the damn shoe? Throw pickup input was what it was set to. Right, so that works. All right, so let's tweak this a little bit because I can't pick up the damn shoe after if I map it to throw input. So if state dot if they can grab or throw the coin, so if they're within the collision point of the coin itself, and has held coin and is not holding the coin, and throw pickup input. So if they press the throw pickup input and they're not holding the coin, this game has to get interesting quick. Please, Please get more interesting. All right. So can I pick up the damn shoe? I can't pick up the shoe. Why can't I pick up the shoe? Why can't I pick up the shoe? All right, I'm not holding the damn coin. Rawr. All right, throw input is definitely being pressed. Am I holding the coin? Oh. Wait. Has held coin. But I haven't. Oh, because I screwed up my state over here. All right, that's fine. $state dot has held coin equals false. All right, not holding the coin. All right, I can pick it up. And now I want to throw it. Cool. So that was just a state retention bug thingy. What is with you and throwing coins, by the way? So the coin stuff is actually from. It's a shoe, but originally it was a coin, and there's a science fiction / fantasy novel series called Mistborn, and it's really good. I started rereading it again, and because I started rereading, I'm like, man, I want to work on this game again, and the heroes and the protagonists in the game in the book had the ability to manipulate metals. So the way they attack when they go into battle and start attacking and fighting, they have like a pouch of coins that they keep with them, and they use them as like literal bullets. So literal bullets to like throw at enemies and stuff. And they'll also use it for movement. So they'll drop a coin on the floor and then push against the coin, and it shoots them upwards. So they have like all this mobility and like just agility and stuff, and it's all based on this idea of coins. Like they're called throwers, coin throwers, or coin shots. That's what they're called. So the idea was, and like the book does an amazing job of like explaining like the battles and stuff, and it's so cool. And the way like how these they're called Mistborn or Allomancers. The way these Allomancers like use the environment to do like crazy cool ninja flip stuff is something I was like, oh, that'd be really really cool to build a game around. So it was a coin originally, and then I turned it into a shoe because it's just funny. Like you hear a game called Shoe Thrower, and you're like, okay, I have a shoe and I can throw it, and that's how you kill enemies. How awesome is that to have a shoe that you can throw? So that's why I say coin, and that's why all the code has it as coin, but then the game shows a shoe. And in the book, they can interact. What happens is that when they want to interact with these metals that allow them to move around, they'll see like a blue line visually going from the point in the piece of metal towards them, and they can like select which metal that they want to interact with. So if there's like a door in front of me that's metal, and then the coin below me, I could say, oh, I want to push against the door and point to the door. So right now I only have one point of interaction, which is apparently my metal shoe. And that's why I'm only interacting with that. But eventually being able to have multiple things that you can interact with would be interesting. But I gotta feel like like an Allomancer. I can't feel like a pathetic shoe throwing person. And that's what I'm trying to fix, because it doesn't feel powerful. It doesn't feel like I've got this badass awesome ability. I think there's like an X-Men that had the mutant power of being able to understand any language in the world. And that's what it feels like. I'm not Wolverine or Storm or Cyclops. I'm the X-Men that can speak any language in the world. Like how exciting is that when you're surrounded by a world of X-Men that have cool mutant powers like amazing healing and teleportation. Okay. So I got the picking up of the shoe/coin working. So push input is that. And if I'm holding the coin, wait, I have a has held coin? Oh, okay. That's like, I should be using this property. That's probably why the value wasn't working. All right, so let me reset. Okay, I can pick up the shoe, and now I need to throw it. So if the push input is there and has held coin, then I want to do this part. So now instead of having a separate input for actually doing the throw, I immediately start pushing. And let's see if that feels a little bit better. All right, so I'm holding the coin. That went straight up, but that feels better. So I pick it up. And then throw it at that trajectory. That feels good. And I could probably pull. All right, if I set that to pull input, then I start pulling, and then that feels good too. So I don't worry about having a separate throw input. I just, if I'm what's it called, pulling, and I'm still pulling when the coin is near me, then I immediately pick it up, and then that's a throw. So, whoa, damn it! Now I broke that because I'm. Oh yeah, I have to have it. I have to set this to is holding coin. There we go. That feels good. Pick it up. I'm holding the coin. I'm holding the coin. Oh, it's a state.player. State.player is holding coin. Okay, that feels good. That feels good. So now I got to fix the trajectory. Got to fix the trajectory. Okay, so let's fix that. I want the Y value to be 0. All right, let's see how that feels. Pick up the coin. No, that it's still weird. Pick up the coin. Yeah, it's still throwing at that weird angle. Throw speed Y. All right, so let's set both of these values to 0. Just kind of reset everything. No, just kidding. Let's not reset that. Yeah, let's not change the Y value. Pick it up. Yeah, immediately just goes that way. Where's my center? Wondering if it has to do with... Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with the center. Because it's shooting up that way. So maybe I need to set... Just kind of drop it a little bit below the player on release. Pick it up. Where'd it go? Maybe that was too low. Okay. How about that? Okay, that's still too low. This game sucks. All right, so let's pull it over to me. Okay, so if I throw from here, yeah, it's shooting downwards now. Let's go ahead and set this back to 2. Pull the shoe back. No, that doesn't feel good either. It's shooting up like that. Okay. Everything's terrible. So now what if I set it to -1? It's still shooting up kind of oddly. What if I set the X value further out? Pull it back. I'm wondering if it's because it's using... No, it is using this. It should be using the center of the player to determine push and pull. But okay, no DY. Okay, that was a little better. What if you set it to 0.5? Okay, that felt good. Probably doesn't have to be as far out as... Yep. This can be 4 and then -2. Arr. So I had at 8 and 10 and -8. Was that an important variable? Shit. What about that? Okay, that was good. Shoe throwing. I am a thrower of shoes. Here's the most boring game in the world. Okay, that was good. So now the question is, can I bring this back down to being a little bit closer to the player? Pull the shoe back. Yeah, if it's too close to the player, it doesn't have enough oomph. What if I increase the Y value? That's too much. Cool game. Nails painted brown. Thank you. I've been berating the game right now because crap. I just closed my browser or my terminal. There we go. That should be back. Yeah, so the game is have you heard of well, One, do you like science fiction, fantasy novels? If you do, I would definitely recommend reading Mistborn, the Mistborn series. It's a really cool series, and that's what this game is kind of inspired from. Is that novel or that series? And I just started rereading it, and because of that, I'm working on this crappy game again and trying to make it feel like I'm a really cool Elemancer. It really is a good series, and yeah, there's these people in there called Elementers that have the ability to manipulate metals, and they use metal objects to kill people. And so I'm using that concept to kill people with my shoe. And it sucks. It doesn't feel right. Okay, that wasn't terrible. So pull. It's almost as if I want that initial trajectory. So let's set the throw speed to be a little bit more, because you're like launching the coin. Okay, that felt good. A little bit better. But not great. It still doesn't feel great. That was okay. Pick up the coin. Maybe I can drop it down now. Even more. If it doesn't feel right, increase the numbers. Make it more intense. Grab the coin. Whoa. I did not grab the coin. I just accidentally launched myself. That's not terrible. Okay. Let's go with that. I don't have a good way to drop the coin. I need to figure out dropping the coin. Pull it up. Let's go to the second stage. Pick up the shoe. Throw it. That felt all right. I need a way to drop a coin or drop my shoe. Pop up here. Damn it. There we go. Ah, stupid double jump. All right, maybe I can throw it here. I lost my shoe. Damn it. I think it's okay. Yeah, I got to figure out. I got to put. Hey, there it is. The shoe came back. Let's try again. So yeah, let's see if I can kill this enemy first. That was an easy kill. Jump up there. Come on. Come on, shoe. There we go. That was interesting. Glad I can recover the shoe, sort of. All right, drop coin. I need to be able to drop the coin. Shimmerine, yes. It's like, come back, shoe. Where is it? Come on, come back. Come back to me. There it is. It is kind of funny. I lost my shoe. Okay. So jump up there. Damn. That felt good. Bring the shoe back. I have to be able to control the trajectory of the shoe. Is I think another thing. And I think I can do that. Okay, so as far as the trajectory of the shoe, is it possible to draw a short line indicating the initial trajectory of the shoe while you're holding it? Um, actually I could. I think that'll be helpful. And I need a. I intuitively wanted to control the shoe using the directional. So I was jumping and I held the down button and then pressed to release. See, hey, it came back. That's kind of fun. And I pressed the release, so in my head I was like, I wanted to drop down, and I think that intuition will help. And yeah, after that, I think having the trajectory will be something that's yeah, some kind of indicator that of where the shoe's going to go. And I think that will actually work well, because let's say if I jump and I'm not pressing anything on the directional and I just press the pull button or push button, then it doesn't apply these specific values. And I think that will help. So let me try that first, and then yeah, adding the trajectory afterwards might be a better idea. I mean, another idea worth looking at. Aside from that, Niels Perry Brown, what do you do? What kind of dev do you do? Do you do game dev? If inputs dot up, all right, so if up is being held, then I want to do something. So if right or inputs dot left, if inputs are right or left, I want to do that. So what I should see, yeah, I didn't handle for that specific value, so that actually makes sense. So I'll set the throw speed to 0. Yeah, I'd love to hear about what you're working on. Oh, I got it for essentially free. Cool. Beyond the tester tutorial. That's a great tutorial that Ryan did. And he doesn't know any Ruby. Like he doesn't even today he doesn't do a lot of Ruby. But the fact that he was able to just kind of reason through the Tetris tutorial with like 0 Ruby experience felt good. It felt really good. Kind of a testament to the engine. But I definitely use it. Like try to find the time to do the game dev stuff. It's lots of fun. Do you have any Ruby experience? Yeah, so if I just drop it, then it just kind of falls to the side. All right, so if all right, so I want to say, what do I want to say here? All right, so if inputs dot up, down, and inputs dot left, right, if they're both 0, then I want to set the y value to just kind of drop. So I want to set it to just -1. Else if that. So let's see what happens. Yeah, Tetris tutorial is really good. Okay, so yeah, the drop still happens kind of weird. It is definitely the Tetris tutorial is definitely not the best introduction to Ruby as a language. That being said, like it just comes down to just plain dumb simple stuff. If you have familiarity with just a less expressive language like C, it keeps things familiar from that perspective. And then later on, you figure out all the cool tricks that Ruby provides you. Yeah, so the drop still feels weird. Throw left and right feel good. All right, let's get throwing up working. All right, so for inputs up, I want the throw speed on the X to be 0 and this throw speed on the Y to be 10. Let's see if that feels good. Not terrible. And I think I need to have the X and Y offset variables predefined also. Offset X, offset Y. So if input's left, I want to set the offset X to be 4, offset Y to be -1. This is what I get for rendering sprites in the bottom left instead of anchored to the center. I actually wrote the thing as I went through the tutorial just to get feel for doing things in a more Ruby-like way. Yeah, I'm sure it yielded nicer code, but yeah, the language has its complexities, and if you're, it just has constructs that people might not be familiar with. So you use some of those advanced concepts, and a beginner looking at Ruby will just be like, I don't understand what all this stuff means. So I think it's good that Ryan did the tutorial, because if I did it, it would have been good for people that understand Ruby, but for new devs, they might have been overwhelmed. Speaking of corner rendering, thank you for entering. Yeah, handle position. It has its own problems though, which is annoying, because like let's say you've got your anchor position for the sprite rendering to be this 0.5 0.5. Well, now collision visually has to take that into consideration. So then I enhance the geometric functions to take anchor into consideration also. But now the thing is that if you're using like anything to do with just a singular scalar value, like if the player's position is less than 0, you can't say that anymore, because you have to remember that it's not the player position, but the player position based on its anchor. So while it helps with geometric intersections and like axis line bounding box collision, just plain vanilla collision between left and right bounds leaks because of that anchor. So still playing around with it. I don't know what the right answer is, other than you opt into the misery by using the anchor values, and opt out of the misery of having sprite offsets by 2 pixels. Everything's terrible, basically. Game dev is terrible. Creating library is also terrible. It's not terrible. This might be a misguided question, but is there a way to do a intersect intersect rect handles anything that responds to x, y, width, and height. Yeah, it's all about compromises. But yeah, there's as long as you can use a geometry dot intersect rect, and then give it whatever two objects that you want, and as long as those two objects respond to x, y, width, and height, it will work. So hashes should already be yes, yep. Providing a hash like that will work. Or any object. Again, any object that responds to that contract. Polymorphism a la carte in Ruby. Doesn't have to inherit a specific class. As long as it responds to those methods, you're golden. Yeah. So there's some helper methods that I added, but there's a static air quotes or a functional approach that just takes in two arguments. So you can do args.geometry dot intersect rect, and it just takes two parameters. Oh, how I do the method missing shenanigans? It's complicated. It's very complicated. Yeah, it's it's some of the most complex Ruby code I've written in a long while, and I hope people find it helpful. I really, really hope so. And it's not just like a fleeting feature from that perspective, but it's complicated. And I'm happy to talk through it. It's just, yeah. There are some there's a bit of PTSD with respect to those features. But yeah, if it makes things pleasant, it's worth it. At least it has for me. Use it all the time. So you're talking about the method missing features on Hash or OpenStruct, because they implement two different things. On Hash, yeah. So I'll whatchamacallit. Once I get the directional working, I'll show you the actual source code. So you can see the sheer amount of, and I use the term loosely, engineering that was put into making that stuff work. And making it work and making sure it's fast. Okay, so left and right look good. Up kind of throws it in a weird way. So the up throw speed is good. Offset X, what happens if I set it to 1? What happens if I set it to 2? What happens if I set it to 4? Eight? Okay, closer. Like, could you imagine having to recompile every time to make these kind of like pixel-based tweaks? I would tear my hair out. Okay, 5 feels good. So I'm running, jump, and throw it straight up. Okay, what if I'm facing the other way? All right. So that's if you're facing right. Otherwise, I'm going to throw it another direction. -3. No? Make sure I'm going here. But yeah, I'll show you I'll show that code to you. Yep, I'm definitely in the right place there. -5, really? No? -15. Why isn't this working? -100. What the deuce? Are you still throwing it in the plus direction? That's a good question. Yeah, my throw speed is still probably positive. No, my throw speed is 0. No, my throw speed is positive. No, throw speed in the X direction is 0, which is good. So that part's correct. Offset is 100. Oh. I'm not setting the offset value for this. So that's good. That consolidates this code. So I no longer have to care about the direction the player's facing because I care about it up there. So -3. -5, maybe. There we go. That feels good. All right, so I'm here, throwing straight up. That looks good. Okay. So now down. Down will be just like up, except my throw speed will be a -10, possibly. That was cool. I don't know. This is introducing another issue because, all right, so if I'm running this way, I'm holding left because I want to jump left or right, but now I want to throw up, but because I'm holding left, then that happens, right? Because I want to retain my movement left and right, but I want to throw upwards. But now there's a contention point for the direction of the coin versus the way that I'm the way that I want to continue my jump. But though that stuff feels pretty damn good right there. Aside from that issue, that felt good. Throw straight up. And the question here is that do I even care about the players dx and dy? And I'll hash that out later. Hash. And as far as if it's neutral, I want to keep everything kind of at 0, but I'll set the offset X the same way. So let's see if the dropping of the coin works. That wasn't right. That kind of fell kind of quickly, didn't it? Why did it fall so quickly? That was weird. Let me make sure this is actually inputting the correct value. I guess right after I throw it, I start pushing. So that makes sense, I think. Yeah, for spiking it straight down. The challenge is that if you throw it, if you press down to throw it versus just neutral release, it almost feels the same because the moment you release, you start pushing on it, which I think makes sense. I think that felt good. So I'm going this direction. I throw it down. See, this is the tricky part. I'm running this way, and I want to throw it down, but continue my whatchamacallit, momentum through the jump without having to go neutral first. Okay, but that's another problem that I'm gonna have to solve. All right, let me commit this change and then I'll show you the hash implementation stuff, because I'm warning you. Your eyes are gonna bulge when you see the machinery behind it. So just fair warning / disclaimer. But yeah, I'll show it to you if you want. Can the player push off the shoe while it's in mid-flight? You can, and the way the book explained it was that if you push off something and the thing that you're pushing off of is heavier than you are, you get pushed back instead of the shoe, instead of the thing that you're pushing. So you can air quotes push off the shoe, but if it's in mid-flight, because the shoe is lighter than you are, you'll get pushed away instead of the shoe. So the cool thing with that though is, so right here I'm pushing the shoe, but the moment I push it against the wall, you'll notice that I start pushing. I start getting pushed away because the wall is heavier than I am. The cool thing is that you can use that as kind of a speed bump. So if I want to quickly maneuver through an area and I've got the shoe behind me, I can use it as a boost and then pull it towards me afterwards. And the same thing works for if it's up here. Yeah, see, same issue. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Come on! Everything's terrible. I'm trying to get it. Okay, so. I know what I can do until I figure out that specific problem. And I just kind of want to show another facet of the mechanic. So like the shoe is above me, and I can, if I push, it pushes the shoe upwards because I'm pushing away from it. But if I try to do a pull, because the shoe is blocked, it actually lifts me up, so I levitate. So I can kind of use it as an anchor point. But yeah, that's the premise of the mechanic, and the book does a phenomenal job of like having battles and different situations where they have to use that kind of ingenuity to win. But yeah, that's what I was trying to capture with this. So yeah, the push and pull, I wanted to capture that facet of it where it's like, yeah, doing the boost or using the coin as an anchor to pull upwards. all those things, concepts are there, but the emotion of feeling powerful, feeling like a powerful alchemist is still missing right now, or a powerful shoot thrower. All right, so let me show you hash. Okay. So just to stage the idea. All right, Ruby mode. All right, so you've got like, yeah, h equals blah, and you can do we'll set a value for a equals 100, right? And if you do puts, I guess I can do this in the REPL so we can actually see the values. So I've got a hash. I puts the hash, right? You should see it show up down there. Command. I'm trying to make this bigger. I'll change the fonts later. My keyboard mapping is screwy. Don't you need a REPL to be around for this? Yeah, the REPL's right here, right? I have a REPL.rb file, and if you put code inside of there, it will print. It will just run that file. So REPL.rb is not part of your source code, but dr introspects for changes to that file to do ad hoc queries like this. The REPL.do syntax helps things from being polluted. So you get a clean context every time, but you can do it this way without REPL.do in there. Yeah, and the other difference is that you'll notice that with REPL.do the console shows up, which is helpful, and without it, it doesn't. And it's not a problem on Mac and Linux because we have both UI and standard in and standard out being printed to the console, but on Windows you don't get anything in standard in or standard out, so you have to have the REPL open to see anything in there. Which is why the console.show, which is why that do block is in place, because Windows makes me want to tear my hair out sometimes. So if I do a.a equals 200, and then puts a again, we have 100, 200. And yeah, so this is nice because you don't have to use the hash syntax like that to set a value. It just uses method missing and does its thing. So the general concept for method missing isn't terrible, right? So you have M, you have your args, and then your block. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm doing hash.classEval, and then define method, and then giving it the information here, and self. So like if it was a HTTP get, I mean not a HTTP get, a get function without the equal sign, then that would be the implementation there. If it was a set, it's similar except you remove the equal sign. Right, so you look at the method itself. If m.2s.end with, so if it ends with an equal, then you're doing you're doing this. Otherwise, you're doing that. So that's the general concept of how the method missing works. And then after you define the method on the fly, you want to do return self.send, and then value and args, right? To basically invoke the thing after method missing is patches the class. So yeah, and that's the beauty of Ruby, because the equal is because functions can end in equal, bang, question mark. That's how you can do the check. So it works really well. But there's facets of the method missing though. So if I did a question mark, you'll notice that I actually get a exception. Hash doesn't have a question mark, right? Another edge case that I had a handle for was if you pass it an implicit block, right? So something like this. Like, yeah, you give it some kind of additional block value. This should also, I think it's like do and end. I need to fix that if that is this is a new branch that I'm working on, and I think I forgot to backfill this specific thing. But if you have question marks, if you do question mark, that fails. If you do bang, this should also fail. I need to fix that also. But yeah, question mark says you don't have a function called this specific thing. The problem with this naive implementation, with all the to do edge cases, is that it's not fast. So this isn't a Firestorm test fork, but it's a more significantly more optimized implementation of hash retrieval. So there's a lot of C code that we added to make this very as fast as we can. But Firestorm will hopefully help this. And the premise of Firestorm is that I can implement it naively in Ruby, and it would be fast enough. Will it be as fast as writing handcrafted C code? I don't know. It's still something to be seen. But this is the general concept of how method missing works. Yes, we have to handle the method missing in C. And now we get to take a look at the C code. Okay, so brace yourself. Here we are. All right. So the first caveat, the first piece of optimization that's there is that I predefine all the functions that primitives have, that exist on our primitives. So value xy, x1, y1, dx, y3, all those sim values. I think there's like 45 properties are predefined. So method missing is not invoked. It's already pre-cached. And then the C implementation for that is line by line, every single one of those mapped to the C API to get and retrieve the hash itself. Okay. Another thing is that you'll notice that the C API uses sim value, referencing the sim value. If you end up doing MRB intern lit for like area, the problem with this approach is that this function itself is slow. So not only do you have to predefine the methods, you have to predefine the symbols that interact on those specific methods. So I've got the symbol definitions of everything. I leverage those symbol definitions within the getters and setters. And here is the pre-caching of those methods. So every single one of those methods is pre-initialized to have those values in there. And then after that, those predefined methods are applied on hash all the way through. And this is just boilerplate. I wrote a Ruby script that took all those properties and then generated this mechanical C code. So hopefully I haven't lost you so far, but yeah, define the MRB values, pre-cache those values, leverage those specific values instead of constructing the symbol on the fly, and then predefine those values on the hash construct itself, so that they're readily available and doesn't go through a dynamic dispatch for method missing. Cool. All right. So now method missing. The way that method missing works is in C is you have the method missing function, right? And this is the general gist of what method missing does. So that's like whatchamacallit. If I was going to do a naive implementation, the Ruby code would look like this. And then set hash property, get hash property, that's the class eval stuff that I had that I lost. Was it in my scratch buffer? Yeah. Okay. Now for method missing to work, you define it in the C function. And I keep a reference to the original method missing, so I can call onto it. Ryan does not know that I've written this C code yet. I haven't. This is on a separate branch, so I haven't. Delivered the good news. But here's the C code, and for what it's worth, my air quotes C expertise is at this layer, this run mruby API runtime layer. He handles all the hardware and input stuff, and STL related stuff. This thing does not use anything with STL, and he's not as familiar with these functions as I am. But yeah, I'm allowed to touch these specific areas of code, just not everything. So here's the logic, right? You pull out the method name, the variadic set of args, whether an implicit block was passed or not. If the block isn't nil, then I delegate back to the original method missing. If the parameter length is too many parameters, I invoke method missing again. So like repl.rb. If I did a equal, if I did 1, 2, like I pass in arbitrary parameters like this should raise method missing. Yep. Expected 0 got more parameters than expected. Same thing there. Oh yeah, equal doesn't take more than one parameter. So the parameter stuff is in place, which is good. After that, I convert the symbol to a string. Do some string length comparison to figure out if it ends in question mark or bang. I'm surprised the bang didn't work because it should be working. Hash bang should throw method missing, but it isn't. I got to figure out why it's not doing that. And then the meat of the work happens inside of these function calls. So let's look at hash get hash property __ m. So what happens here is that I pull the key value that was passed in and captured method missing, and you have to use something called mrb proc new cfunc with environment, and the proc new cfunc with environment allows you to pass in the context of the invocation of the Ruby function along with a captured local state at the point of construction. So what I'm saying here is I want to define a new function. I want to construct a new function using this environment where I capture the key for method missing. After that, this macro is invoked. I then take the reference to that rproc and add it to the class using the original method name. So define method missing raw. Now this hash key underscore get extracts from the environment. So it's that initial information that I captured when I constructed the function. This is how you extract that index value. And that's how it works. And for hash set, I extract from the environment and I extract from the arguments because I need the value from the arguments, but I need the key name from the C function environment. And so that's how that facet of method missing ends up operating. But there you have it. That's method missing in a nutshell. If you look at struct.c in mruby, those facilities are in struct, right? So if you did person is equal to struct.new x, y, p is equal to person.new, I should probably call it point instead of person. It's offensive. Like, I don't have an X property. Right, so this works. And the question is like, well, how did mruby implement this? And struct uses the same concepts, right? So on the construction of the new, I think it's new, yep, the new keyword itself, it sets an instance variable on the class pointing to the members. And then for each one of the members that's passed into it, it retains the GC arena, goes in and creates a new proc for the function, creates the getter and setter, passing those index values for those members, defines the raw methods, and adds it. And that's how you get p.x and then p.x equals, yeah. That's how you get those properties. The open entity implementation of method missing is more complicated. It is more involved because I have to keep because of the chaining, right? args.state dot player dot x dot or player dot armor dot hp. Being able to do this without having any of those in-between properties defined was involved. But yeah, so take the concepts that you just saw in hash and expand it to have all the retention of the properties in between and capturing that in some kind of stack that is popped off when this invocation is done. It's involved. But there you go. Yeah, and that's the facet of DragonRuby is that it's a runtime. Like when I say DragonRuby is a runtime and not just some library, we are extending and adding this machinery into core classes to make it pleasant to operate with. And it's yeah. This is why people pay for it. This is why you have to pay for the damn thing. Yeah, a lot is involved with making sure all this gels well with going from open entity to a class, to a hash, with what's called geometry functions, being able to accept different types and making sure that that's very quick. This is what's involved in there. There you have it. Hash method missing. Soup to nuts. It's really rewarding. Like getting good with the C APIs is it feels good. Yeah, it is. I end up having if I end up going to IRB and then need to deal with hashes, I'll go ahead and patch it with my naive implementation, just so that I could have that facility in there. But the hash syntax is so nice to be able to just do that. It's so nice. Well, it depends on who you ask. There are some people that have said I'm committing war crimes by patching core objects, but it's all about that perception. If you think of DragonRuby as just a thing that's added onto Ruby, yeah, it feels like a horrible thing to do. But the moment it's understood that DragonRuby is a runtime at the same level or hierarchy as C Ruby and M Ruby and Truffle Ruby, it changes the perspective of what's considered bad form versus what's good. But there you have it. That is the hash implementation. Don't try this at home, basically. Okay, back to shoe throwing. After that ridiculous segue, this thing sucks. I want to retain this momentum, but I want to throw upwards and not right. I think that the important thing to remember is that people have to use this. That thinking should guide a lot more development than it does. I hear you. I hear you. Siri, I wasn't talking to you.
How about a web search for it?
No, Siri. When did I even say your name? Go away. She's so annoying. I know what you're saying. I didn't want to say those magic words again, apparently, but the challenge there is that is it idiomatic Ruby, or Rubyists that try DragonRuby have a certain expectation of what the Ruby should look like, and when it doesn't look like that, and it doesn't look like Rails web-based Ruby code, there's a strong cognitive dissonance there that has to be wrestled with, even after they try it, because it's been drilled in our heads. Don't patch core classes. Don't do crazy things with method missing. Don't keep everything this and that. It's just it's a struggle at times. And yeah, those that like it stay. Those that don't, say bad things, say nasty things to me, and go. It's kind of how it works. Okay, I got to figure out this the throwing of the shoe straight up versus not straight up. Let me make it to the exit and get to the next level. See, even getting to the exit is now annoying. I guess maybe I do need the lob. Dang it. Maybe I do need that original lob code. Yep. So what did the history look like? Just open this file. Throw pickup input. So, yeah, I guess still have the original throw pickup input. So not only do I have the push pull input, but now also I've retained the original throw pickup input. Yep. So if you want to push straight out, you can do that. You can push in a direction, and if you want to just lob it, the lob still works. That's so much complexity, though. It's not terrible. So now I can lob it. Now I can lob it, maybe. All right, let me kill this guy first. I lost my shoe. God damn it. Oh, it came back. All right, so throw it straight at him. That works. Lob it, push. That was not terribly unpleasant. Use it as an anchor. Grr. Lob is good. That felt good. Pop him in the head. I lost my shoe. Come back. Come back, shoe. Please. Where'd it go? There it is. It's a little bit more fun. Ah, crap. I fell off. Okay. That wasn't as terrible. All right, so I keep the lobbings. I keep the toss. But you can immediately launch said shoe also. I think that was the important thing to remember is that people have to use this. That thinking should guide a lot more development. Yeah, than does. Sorry. Yeah, battling existing what's it called? Trying to think of the word. Trying to combat existing things that are considered true, like the current best practices or what have you. Contending against that is difficult. It's the best practice not to patch core libs or use method missing, and I violate that. So there's an immediate rejection to that for some people, and it's tough. I get it. Okay, so lob feels good. Throwing to the face feels good. I like the intensity. Drop it down. That push felt good. Picking it back up. This does feel better. I don't know if it's perfect yet, but or I don't know if it's good enough to where I want to invest more time in it. But it has scratched the itch and it's better than it was. Come back. Damn it. All right. I think that's a good stopping point. Worked on some shoe throwing. Got the method missing stuff working. Actually, I can release this if y'all want to try playing it. Right, so arrow keys, and then IJKL space to, yep. Yeah, let's push this. Game metadata, shoot thrower, all that looks good. I gotta do a full rebuild. This is a dev build and not a production build. So it's gonna take me minutes to actually do a production build and push it out. But yeah, I'll go ahead and push it out. Version 14 of shoot thrower. You can try the new mechanics to see how it feels. I think that's a good stopping point. Thank you everyone for those that hung out. I hope it was informative and all that good stuff. Hope it didn't cause you nightmares, all the C code that you saw. Y'all have a good one. I have no idea when I'll stream again, but I'll post in the Discord when I do. All right, take care, everyone.